Hello, truth seekers. Lawrence here, and welcome to Easy Enlightenment. So, if you're seeking to end the struggle in your life, then you got to face your struggle. Facing the struggle means questioning yourself why the struggle is there in the first place. Questioning is a simple and straightforward path to end the inner conflict, end the fear in your life, which is ending the struggle in life. Look, we don't question ourselves much, or we don't question ourselves at all. When we don't question ourselves how to figure out the root cause of the issue that is already present in life, which is the suffering. And if you don't see the root, how to dissolve the root to be free. We are interested to question the world about why things are unfolding the way things are unfolding. We are interested outwardly a lot, but we are not interested in ourselves. Why the problem is there, isn't it? How often do you ask yourself, why am I suffering? You are suffering, no doubt, but have you questioned yourself, why am I suffering? Most of the time, people don't question. That means you don't question yourself. And when you don't question yourself, how do you figure out the solution, how to end the struggle? So if you really want to end your struggle in your life, you gotta be interested in yourself to, to figure out what is true and what is not. And the inner freedom, which is spiritual freedom or enlightenment journey. You gotta take things in your own hand. The path to end the inner struggle is about you. So you gotta take things in your own hand and you gotta walk on your own. Stop seeking outwardly for the solution to dissolve the inner struggle. You can't find the solution. Yes, you can find the reference on how to dissolve the inner struggle. That's all you get. Even you don't get that because there's so much confusion in the world about dissolving the inner soul, dissolving the inner conflict. Isn't it? You've been trying to figure out the reference on how to end the struggle, but everywhere you go, there's only ideas you get, and you try to put that idea into practice. The practice is not helping you to dissolve your struggle. And most of the time, you get the conflicting reference. And also, you get the reference that is about expanding the mind. Your mind is just getting bigger. And when the mind is getting bigger, that means that that action itself is taking you away from who you are. Enlightenment journey, a true freedom, is about figuring out the truth of who you are. And truth of who you are is not the mind. Truth of who you are is not the belief. Truth of who you are is the consciousness. Consciousness itself is a plain sight truth, the unchanging truth in you. And the nature of the consciousness is conscious and empty. Remember, empty. When you become empty, the struggle ends. You're holding the mind right now. You have so much identification in yourself you're attached to. Because of the attachment, not just the attachment, you are fighting to hold on to that identification. And that is making you suffer. You just reflect how many places you are heavily attached. Your job, you are attached. Your relationship, you are attached. And there are a lot of other stuff you are addicted to it. And because of that is making you suffer. You are going against your own true nature. Like, yes, in life you can have fun. Life is about experience, but there should be clear seeing about who you are and the experience you go through. You are not your experience, but right now you are who you are is your experience. And that is the mind. Whatever you have gone through in your life always leaves the residue in you as an idea, isn't it? Whatever experience you have gone through is the mind, and you are the mind. And every day you wake up in the morning, you identify yourself with certain persona. You have certain persona, and you maintain that persona from the morning till you go to bed. Even in your sleep, you are maintaining that persona in your dream. So that identification, that attachment to the identification is there. And to maintain that identification, you're putting effort, you're controlling, you're fighting, you're resisting. And that itself is suffering. When you try to hold on to something, that means you don't know who you are. And when you don't know who you are, you suffer. So you gotta figure out who you are. Spiritual journey is about figuring out the truth of who you are. How to get to figure out the truth of who you are is about questioning yourself. Questioning yourself. Questioning in a way that you're tracing the mind backward. You gotta I'll be real. You gotta stop doing other stuff for a while. If you're really sincere in figuring out the truth of who you are, if you want to end your struggle, stop whatever spiritual practice you have been doing so far. You stop that and question yourself. I know you'll have a hard time to let go of all your spiritual practices because you have already conditioned yourself to that. And you also got some benefit out of that practice. But here's a reflection you can do. By being part of those practices, are you able to end your inner struggle? Yes, the relative struggle you were able to end through those practices, but are you able to end your fear, end the inner struggle? And the answer to that question is no, you haven't. So if you realize it's not working, then question yourself. Question yourself. And also let go your meditation for a while. Let go the meditation of controlling the body. Let go the meditation of holding the mental reference. If you want to really meditate, you meditate on yourself. You turn the awareness back to yourself. That is meditation. That's the start of the journey to figure out the truth of who you are. Meditate on yourself. You turn the awareness back to yourself and just witness yourself. Because this is needed in the beginning while you're walking back on the mind and to see the truth. You have to be aware of yourself and what you are doing in your spiritual journey. So disengage from everything. Everything means all the spiritual practices you have, and question yourself. Questioning is a straightforward journey. If you question yourself, you start to see the layers of the mind, how the mind entangles you, and how that entangle makes you act on the surface, act in your life. If you trace your mind backward by questioning yourself, that questioning will make you see things, and that will become your inspiration to continue the inward journey. So here's the thing: when you question yourself, right, you start to figure out the root cause of the suffering. And here's the part you have to be aware. After figuring out the root cause of the struggle, don't try to plant the new seed. The new seed is a positivity in life. The world is, the world is influencing the positivity. Positivity is good in a functioning world. You got to be positive to connect with the world. Nobody, like the negative stuff. To interact, positivity is okay. However, to see the truth of who you are, or to end your inner struggle, don't add the positivity. Positivity is still the mind. So if you just add positivity, you're attaching to the mind. And if you do that, your inner struggle won't end. Your fear will not dissolve. To end the fear, to end the inner conflict, to end the struggle, you have to go beyond duality. So you cannot plant the positive seed aligning with the positive mind. Negative mind and positive mind both got to be dismantled. So when you see the root cause of your suffering, now remember, spiritual journey is about letting go of the root as well. The root itself is the ingrained belief in you, the conditioning in you, that is a preference in you. And when you see the root, you gotta dissolve the root. When you get the idea of dissolving, the letting go of the root, down there is a fear of letting go. And you have to question your fear. Why am I afraid? Why do I have the fear of letting go? Then you start to understand more of the nature of the mind. So here's a simple thing you can do. If you want to end the struggle, right, and be free from the struggle, I said question your struggle, question yourself why the struggle is there in the first place. Now here's the inquiry you can do. You're struggling physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, suffering is there. Now you ask yourself, why am I suffering? There you go. Why am I suffering? You ask yourself that. You sit with that. Let that question be the background. You don't have to say, why am I suffering? Why am I suffering? You don't need to do that. Just let that question be the background, and you sit with that question. When you ask, why am I suffering? There should be the answer, because you are experiencing suffering. And there should be the reason for the suffering you are experiencing. So when you question yourself, you will see the answer, the reason for your suffering. Whether it's whatever level of answer resurface in you, now use that answer. Why is that important? You're starting with the why am I suffering? You see the answer. Now use the answer to to deepen your inward journey. Every time you see the answer, you question yourself, why do I have this in me? Or why is that important? This is the simple way. You are using why. Whatever answer comes in, why do I have it? Why is that important? Starting with why am I suffering? And after that, why is that important when you see the answer? And keep using the answer to trace the mind backward. And that's the simple way to figure out the root cause of your suffering. But again, remember, seeing the root is just creating a dent in your spiritual path. Then after seeing the root, you have to let go of the root. And letting go of the root is a tough part. That's where you start to have you start to experience the war within. You start to experience the turmoil, because that root itself is your attachment. Now, reflect how many places you are heavily attached in your life. And you know it. Now, work on that. Why am I attached to whatever you attach? Or you can go straight to more direct approach is you have to let go your attachment. Now there's a fear. Yes, why do I have the fear? Why do I have a fear of letting go? And let's see how far you can go with that question. You started with the why am I suffering? You see the root attachment. You have to dissolve the root. You got to let go of the root. Now you're afraid. Why am I afraid? You ask yourself. Question until the answers, until the questions, until the questioner dissolves in the process. You will dissolve in the process. You means the ego self dissolve in the process. When to dissolve the ego self, you got to see the truth. Yeah. And to see the truth, tracing the mind backward is a simple and straightforward approach. Okay. So that's the simple and straightforward approach. You are struggling, ask yourself, why are you struggling? And figure out the root and eliminate the root altogether. Okay, I hope this video makes sense to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.